Shalom. I want to start by giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Kakedash, double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for teaching of scriptures, among other things, and salutations to all the Akyam across the earth who are doing this work in sincerity and in truth, and Shalom to the sincere brothers and sisters who are at home watching the videos and do their best to please Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai. So yeah, man, this video I want to go into basically the speech that the Amalekite Halsema, Femke Halsema, mayor of Amsterdam, did yesterday. She said some things, that basically triggered me like, yeah, man, these people really think, let me read this scripture first, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 49 and verse 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and the dwelling place to all generations. They call their lands after their own names, like America Vespucci, Scipius Africanus, for example. So they keep doing that, like for example in Curacao, you have the capital city there is Willemstad, named after Willem van Oranje, former king from Holland, just as an example. On Aruba you got Orange City, because these family, they call themselves the Oranges, So yeah, just to name some examples, they really think that they're going to be in rulership forever. They don't think that anybody is going to be able to move them from the power seat that they're in. That's funny because she said in her speech, I'm going to read the article in a bit, but she said that things like what happened during the World War and what's going on right now should happen never again, blah blah blah. But yeah, but this demons, you gotta know, Halsema, Femke Halsema, mayor of Amsterdam, she is an Amalekite. That's the head tribe of the Edomites. Those are those imposters, those small heads people, those big nose people that you have there in Israel. Claiming, lying to the world that they are the chosen people. They're gonna find out soon, man. Yahushua is about to come. Hell is about to pop loose on this planet, man. They're gonna find out the hard way, man. And it's gonna be beautiful, man. So let me see. So Major Halsema during May 4 speech, mothers and children die from bombings and we watch. During the silent march on the Museumplein, Major Femke Halsema linked the commemoration of war victims from the Second World War with current conflicts. Ooh, that's how great of her. You see her, this is her in the middle. This is her. This is that demon right there with the big necklace on. She really thinks she's something. So she's from Amalek, the head tribe of the Edomites. So yeah, she gonna get it, man. Is that Edomite next to her or something? Somebody from Iran or something. Major Femke Halsema implicitly referred to the war in Gaza and the ongoing violence in Ukraine in a 4 May speech at the Museumplein. While commemorating the victims of the Second World War, she also spoke about contemporary violence against civilians and the tendency of societies to look the other way. Like all these countries are not looking the other way, right? Even now, 2025, people are suffering under authoritarian and aggressive regimes that, for example, make it impossible for independent judges and journalists to work, she said. Yeah, those are the people that are basically on their payroll, to so that they are, busy try to take a leader out of a seat and put one of their puppets there, because that's what they've been doing, Mothers and children are dying from bombings that maim others for life and traumatize families. People are going hungry, and cities and villages are being turned into ruins, and we are watching. We are watching, and not only watching. Don't forget that these Dutch people, they were sending all kinds of fighting equipments to Israel, F-35 fighter jets parts and all these things, and talking about, yeah, we are watching. These Dutch people are very special. I said it. I say it many times. They're very, very special. They're on the front side. They want to act all innocent, that they are for peace. But meanwhile, they make sure that these small heads can go on and slaughter these Palestinians, and those people in Yemen, And don't get me wrong, I don't give a shit about those people neither, because they are all our enemies, all of them. But yeah, nevertheless, it shows you the hypocrisy of these people, They want to put all act and whole facade like, oh no, we are against it. Meanwhile, they funding it, because that's what's going on. Halsma did not mention any countries by name, but her formulations are difficult to separate from the situation in Gaza, where Israel has begun fighting Hamas since October 2023, and tens of thousands of civilians have been killed, and in Ukraine, where Russian bombardments have been hitting civilian targets for more than 3 years. You see that? It's funny, man, how they pick sides and all that. Never again applies everywhere. You see that? Never again. No, it's gonna be a one big again. The Third World War is gonna come. What's it? Revelation chapter 11. Let me check real quick. Yeah, this is the book of Revelations, chapter 9 and verse 12. One woe is past, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. You see that? So it's already in stock, it's already in stock. It's getting ready to basically to be pulled out, So let me get back to the article. Never again applies everywhere. Halsma began her speech with a radio message from U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, written shortly before his death in 1945. More than end to war, we want an end to beginning of all wars, she quoted. Yes, an end to this gruesome, inhumane, thoroughly impractical method of settling disputes between governments. According to Halsma, these words that pointed to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 and the promise to never again allow the horrific crimes of the Second World War, of World War II, never again, Halsma said. The principle of never again, Halsma said later in a speech, is not a slogan that can be applied at will. It is the moral imperative to rise above ourselves, not to look away, and to draw a hard line when people, wherever they are oppressed, persecuted, and murdered. And you must not forget, especially the Amalekites, because they are our enemies, number one, the Edomites, but all the heathens are our enemies. They all have their hands covered with blood from the real children of Israel, the so-called Nicos Latinos and the so-called Indianos. Annetje Vels-Kuppersmit, the Universal Appeal connected Halsma, who last week apologized for the role of municipality during the hologram, to the history of Amsterdam. She called, because that's what it is, it's a hologram. To the history of Amsterdam, she called the Museumplein the black heart of the Amsterdam occupation, and commemorated the 102,000 Dutch big noses, fakers, imposters, Roma, Sinti, and Homos and Sodomites who were tortured and murdered because of who they were. Yeah, but no word about the slaves, right? You know how many Jacob descendants even fought on the side with these devils, to get Holland free, and they even, how Jake is. Jake is effective, and we are basically, the Most High had taught us war, We had strategic maneuvers, and by certain Jakes, they were able to free Holland. But those are the things that they keep out of the news, The major referred, among others, to Irawan Soyuncu, an Indonesian student and resistance fighter who fought the Nazis in the Netherlands. So they want to talk about him, but they don't want to talk about the new soldiers, the soldiers that they use in from the Moluccan, that they used to fight against the Indonesians, because when the Indonesians didn't want to be a part of Holland anymore, they basically start fighting for their freedom, and they used the Moluccan soldiers over there and told them like they're going to give them their own country if they fight alongside with the Dutch people. And what happened eventually? Well, they did not keep their word. How surprisingly. Don't forget what they did with the so-called Indians. More than 300 agreements they made, and they kept none of it. So never trust your enemy, man. So yeah, for him, freedom was universal. It had to apply to his people in Indonesia, and when we lost our freedom, to all residents in the Netherlands. She also remembered Annetje Vels Kuppersmits, hologram survivor and co-founder of the Auschwitz Committee. Man, that's a big scheme. Halsema quoted her response to a compliment from Ed Fontaine: "We must be good." Halsema concluded her speech with that sentence: "We have to do better." Well, you're gonna do better. When you're gonna be in chains, you're gonna do better, man. When the day comes when we're gonna put you in chains, then you're gonna do better, because we're gonna give you specific orders of what to do and what not to do. So, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 149 and verse 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory, and let them sing aloud upon their beds. And this is talking about the children of Israel. So, and those are the children of Israel, the saints. Let me read it in the book of Psalms, chapter 148 and verse 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him, praise ye Yahweh. So there you have it. So back to the book of Psalms, chapter 149 and verse 5. Let the saints be joyful in glory, let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of Yahweh be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hands, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people, to bind their kings, Halsema, Schoof, Willem-Alexander, just to name a few, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written, this honor have all his saints, praise ye Yahweh. And believe me, we are looking forward to this, man. We are looking forward to this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 14 and verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with their cities. So prepare slaughter for their children, And America, aka Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed, man. For I will rise up against him, said Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, said Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water I will sweep it with the besom of destruction, said Yahweh of hosts. And host means armies. And that's how Yahushua is gonna come back, man. Let me see. This is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 14. Thus said Yahweh the Most High, when the whole earth rejoiced, I will make thee desolate. And it's talking about, first and foremost, about the Edomites, the so-called white people, but it's for all your heathens, man. As thou rejoice at the inheritance of the house of Israel, because it was desolate, so will I do unto thee. Thou shalt be desolate, O Mount Seir, and it's talking about the Edomites, and all Idumea, even all of it, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. And they're gonna find out, man. There's gonna be no discussion about whether it would be true or whatever. The Most High is gonna do it on some gruesome way that everybody gonna how you say that? Gonna be humbled. All these heathens gonna be humbled, man. Let me see. This is the book of Obadiah and verse 15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathens. You see, that is for all of y'all. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yeah, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. You see that? And like I said, we're looking forward to that, man. This is the book of First Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 10. What nation had not a part in a kingdom and got enough of spoils? So you can, check your country's history and see what part you had to do during the Atlantic slave trade, doing the slaughter of the so-called Indians, the treatment of our people during the segregation, the treatment of our people until this day. If you look to countries like Libya and all that, Syria, they still treat our people like slaves, so-called Negroes. They're still being sold into slavery, stiekem, in the sneakiness. So let me see. This is the book of Job, chapter 20 and verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the driving of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Because you got to realize, when Yahushua is going to come back and establish the kingdom of Yahweh Basham Yahushai, the kingdom of Yashua Allah, the kingdom of Israel is going to be forever. So meanwhile, these devils these heathens, they all have power, they are in rulership and all that. It's only for a moment. If you compare that, even at a couple of thousand years, if you compare that with forever, is nothing, So yeah, this is the book of Job, chapter 20, verse 4. Knowest thou not this of old, since man was placed upon earth, that the driving of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment? Though his excellency mount up to the heavens, and in head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, Where is he? He shall fly away as a dream, and shall not be found. Yea, he shall be chased away as a vision of the night. The eye also which saw him shall see him no more, neither shall his place any more behold him. So, he got all these space stations going on, and all these things got clutter floating around into space, But yeah, nevertheless, he's gonna be exterminated. Thus said the Bible, This is the book of Numbers, chapter 35 and verse 33. So ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defiled the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. You see that? That's your future right there, So your blood is needed to cleanse the earth. Defile not therefore the land which ye shall inhabit, wherein I dwell, for I, Yahweh, dwell among the children of Israel. The children of Israel. Let me see, this is the book of Revelations, chapter 13 and verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. If you got an ear, if you can understand this. He that leadeth into captivity, slavery, what they did with the natives, the so-called Indians, what they did with the so-called Negroes, He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, and the saints are the children of Israel. So yeah, man, with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Basham Yahushai, Basham Kakadash, double honors to the apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for teaching the scriptures, among other things, and salutations to all the Akyam across the earth for doing this work in sincerity and the truth. So with that, I'm going to say Shalom.